this one.
Good morning, everyone. That was very powerful. Good morning. Welcome back. I hope you all had a safe and fun night out in Nashville. Heard some great music. Some of you maybe. Heard some bad music. Some of you maybe not. Just a few housekeeping things before we get going this morning. I want to remind you all of the worksheets that you can follow along throughout the different presentations and exercises. A reminder to please fill out the evaluations for each day. Those are available electronically. And then another note, if you find that the power strip underneath the table is not working, they are daisy chained from my left to your right. So if the middle table is not working, ask your neighbors to your right to check the on-off switch underneath their table, but they're daisy chained. So if y'all's aren't working, look this way, and if yours aren't working, I don't know what to tell you. So this is day 2, and today we're going to be focusing on grid resiliency planning. And there's a few things I wanted to highlight before we bring up our opening comments. The value in being together. This is to increase your understanding, to increase the awareness for your agency and for your state. So learn from other states while you're here, learn from other agencies, learn from other agencies in your state, but diversify your awareness by the diversity that we have in this room. This afternoon we're going to have an exercise with NASEO and NARUC on engaging stakeholders and building equity, and this is something we're all doing. We all present regularly we are all presently engaging stakeholders regularly, but often for very different reasons. And then also we're all considering equity in our programs, policies, and regulatory proceedings, but with varying approaches and objectives. So keep that in mind. And then later today, we have a state criteria for evaluating resilience projects. So a big thank you for Carrie Heinrich, Ben Bolton, and our Middle Tennessee utility representative. If you're here, just look out for that panel this afternoon. It should be very insightful. And then last up, as I said earlier, today's focus is on grid resiliency planning. A big federal partner that we want to thank in that is Grid Deployment Office. And from the Grid Deployment Office, we have Mr. Tom King here. He is a senior advisor at GDO on loan from Oak Ridge. So without any other comments, Tom, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to Tennessee. I'm just 2.5 hours due east in the Knoxville area. So I've been in GDO before GDO was formed. I got a call from Pat Hoffman, said, "Hey, do you want to do something different, Tom?" I said, "Absolutely." And so I've been on detail from Oak Ridge National Laboratory to Grid Deployment Office. And from day one, it's like, well, we're not going to be Office of Electricity anymore. We're going to be GDO. And so we started with a group of 5, and now we're like at 125. And so in 18 months, we have like just brought on so many people. And so my title is Senior Advisor, but it's more of passing along my baby. So I would start something and then give something away to somebody else new coming in. So it's been an interesting journey, but a really fun journey. We work very closely with our NETL folks that are back there, helping to administer some of our programs. But there's a lot of exciting things going on in the Grid Deployment Office. Within DOE, there's $62 billion that are tied to the bipartisan infrastructure law. Of the $62 billion, $26 billion is being administered within GDO. So there's a lot of activity. It's across 3 different areas, from the generation side, the transmission. I mostly work in the grid modernization area, the 3rd area on grid resilience, do some in the transmission side. So that's all exciting. On top of that, this is the first year in FY25. If people just happen to read through the requests, budget requests, GDO has a line item. We have an account now. So there could be life after the BIL, which is really exciting. And so there's 3 main areas that are called out from the transmission planning, looking at the distribution markets, a little bit of the hydro incentives, and then microgrids. So going to be some really neat opportunities in the future, but I do want to talk a little bit about the grid resilience area. Yesterday we discussed the importance of grid. We're seeing all these crazy trends that are going on and some of the challenges. So the BIL and the grid resilience offers some opportunities, a little bit of opportunity from our funding to address these activities. And so hopefully we see these as seeds, you know, plant the seed and it builds something bigger and better. The grid formula grant, people were talking about that yesterday. They're coming up, they're due April 17th for year 3. We have a GRIP 2.0 in phase and process, so a lot of activities that are going on. We're able to offer courses, classes like this through our technical assistance program. So our partnership with NASEO and NARUC, it's been invaluable. Being able to bring national labs in like Lawrence Berkeley National Lab to help facilitate this. Our partners within DOE, Office of Electricity and ERE, it's been fantastic. And so we hope to continue that. If you have technical assistance needs, we're putting together a program. Go to the website. I don't know if people have looked, but there's a way to get there. May not be the easiest, but if you go to the home page, you go to the conductor, like not the advanced conductor, but more like a maestro conductor. And you go into the table, you click on Grid Resilience Formula Grants, go to the bottom of that page, and you can see a link to our technical assistance. You can submit an application into that very simple request, and then we will try to coordinate and bring either national labs or other organizations. Last point, to get to this, we're going through this new mechanism. It's a new funding mechanism. We had a program or a solicitation announcement out. It's called Gracie. Anybody know what Gracie is? Anybody here? So it's the Grid Analysis and Climate Change Initiative. So Gracie. And what this is a partnership for intermediary agreements, a PIA. And what is that? Well, we have an intermediary, easy to say, rolls off the tongue. The company's called EnergyWorks, and they help facilitate application processes. So instead of having a FOA that's like 25 pages, you have all this paperwork, you have cost match, this initiative, this pilot that we're running through, it's 4-page. It's helping us understand what your capabilities and your approach to what we have listed. And that list came from our NASEO and NARUC friends of what the needs are for technical assistance that we pulled in. And so it's a mechanism that gives us flexibility, that expands our capacity beyond just national labs, brings in universities and small companies, small businesses, large businesses. And hopefully we're going to be making an announcement soon that will help in some of the technical assistance needs to expand our capacity, and I'm hoping that it's a nice mechanism where we can continue to grow off it. So pretty exciting, looking forward to that. And with that, welcome, enjoy the day, and I am turning it back over to Lisa.
Thanks so much, Tom. So I want to personally thank U.S. Department of Energy's Grid Deployment Office for funding our training today and a lot of our other work. NASEO and NARUC, very long-time partners of mine and very dear to my heart. I'm a former Public Utility Commission staffer. I'm a former director of a state energy office, so it really matters a lot to me. And I know how hard you all are working, and your work is just so important. I really want to thank our experts who traveled a really long way today. Tom Wall, for example, our next speaker, whom I'll introduce in a moment, Argonne National Lab, National Renewable Energy Lab, my lab, Berkeley Lab, and our affiliates. They really are some of the top experts in the country on the subjects you're going to hear about today. And again, their bios and slides are on Berkeley Lab's website, on NARUC's website. On the left, we have a QR code that you can take a picture of if you haven't yesterday. That is where the agenda lives, and the presentations have all been posted in advance. You can download them, and our speaker bios. On the right is a code for today's evaluation. We do ask that you please snap that code, and as you go along, please complete an evaluation for each section while it's fresh in your mind. Okay, so I want to go through today's agenda briefly. We are going to start out with a fabulous speaker, Gayatri Krishnamurthy, from the National Renewable Energy Lab. She's going to provide some level setting for all of us to make sure we understand grid resilience, and we're all on the same page to start with. Next is Tom Wall with Argonne National Lab. He's going to cover threat-based risk assessments and evaluating infrastructure vulnerabilities, including climate change impacts. After a break, I'm really delighted that Cynthia Klein with Duke Energy and Neil Weisenfeld with the consulting firm ICF will walk us through Duke Energy's climate change vulnerability study. So we have a real-life example of a utility trying to assess and work through these things. And then Berkeley Lab affiliate Josh Schellenberg will summarize the state requirements for utility resilience plans and highlight emerging best practices based on initial state requirements and the utility plans that we've gone through. He'll also outline a template that you can adapt for your own states for utility plans on resilience. So I think that'll be super helpful. I have a draft on my desk. I've started to review it. It's really good. And so we're going to get that out in draft form to all attendees of the training. So you're going to get a sneak preview just by virtue of attending this training. And that should be in the next couple of weeks. And that's all before lunch, by the way. So we encourage you to take the opportunity during lunch to network with your peers from other states. Like Tom said, you really can, and Blake, you really can learn a lot from other states. And next, Pete Larson with Berkeley Lab will cover ways to value and prioritize resilience investments. You know, we can't invest in everything all at once. We don't have endless funds to do that, even with the generous federal funding. So this is a very important topic, I know, to many of you, and the subject of a cohort that NARUC and NASEO have. So if you haven't signed up for that, you might want to see our NARUC and NASEO partners. And then Josh Schellenberg is back, and he's going to talk about grid resilience strategies. So these are the mitigation strategies, all different kinds. And he's going to give some mini case studies to really make it real. And finally, Tom's back up, and he is going to cover criteria for evaluating specific resilience projects, and then moderate a panel with state energy office reps and Middle Tennessee Electric. And that'll be, I think, super interesting. And our speakers are Carrie Heinrich with the Wisconsin State Energy Office, Ben Bolton with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, and Avery Ashby with Middle Tennessee Electric. We can take any important clarifying questions while speakers are talking if you're just completely befuddled. But we do ask in general that you hold all your questions till the end of each presentation. Please try to ask a question rather than give a comment, and state it briefly. We also ask our speakers to provide their answers in a somewhat brief form. Remember, you can grab folks during a break, right after their presentation, during lunch, and follow up. All right, let's get started. Gayatri?